Here are 5 beginner mistakes that a lot of pickleball players make that I wish I knew about sooner.
And pay attention to number 4, because with a few simple adjustments, you're gonna win way more pickleball points.
All right, let's get into it. One of the most common mistakes I see a lot of beginner players make and intermediates actually has to do with positioning at the kitchen line. So something I see often is you'll be dinking at the kitchen line and a ball will kind of push you back, but a lot of players will just stay back here instead of recovering back to the kitchen line. And what happens is you're super vulnerable to attacks, because if you're hanging out back in this transition zone area, it gives the opponents so many options to attack you because you're creating so many gaps. Furthermore, the worst reason I feel like this is such a bad place to play is because you're leaving the most offensive place to play on the court, okay? This kitchen line and hugging this line is going to give you so much more opportunity for offense because you'll be able to take dinks out of the air. If you're standing back here, there's really limited attacks that you can do, and you're in such a bad position that even if you do attack, you're really putting yourself in a vulnerable area.
This next mistake I see often, and it may seem little, but if you can correct this, you'll massively improve your dinking. And what I'm talking about is I see a lot of people have late preparation with their paddle and late preparation with their feet. So in order to correct this, I want you to think about your palm like a flashlight. You want to find the ball with that flashlight and get there early, almost beating the ball to its position. So here's what this kind of could look like. As I'm dinking, I really want to make sure I'm prepping my paddle early. I see a lot of people, the paddle kind of preps late, which can be okay, but if you can get your paddle in position early and get your feet in position early and beat the ball to its location, you're gonna have a lot more success and you're gonna disguise those dinks much better.
Once you understand this next concept, your team's defense is going to become unbeatable. And it's that one of the mistakes I see a lot of teams make, especially when they're just starting out in pickleball, is they think that the kitchen works 50-50, meaning I'm just responsible for my half and my teammates responsible for their half, okay? What I want you to pretend is like this line does not exist. The kitchen is not played 50-50. You need to think of this area as a team, okay? And slide accordingly. Pickleball is all about angles, and you really wanna work on cutting off angles for your opponents to attack, especially the easiest angles. So for example, if the ball slides to this side of the court, my partner should slide accordingly because they're gonna wanna protect that line because that's a very easy angle for your opponent to attack. And then I'm gonna wanna slide in this middle area. A great rule of thumb to always remember when it comes to defense at the kitchen line is that you and your partner should always be within a paddle length apart. If there's ever a gap, you're probably too far away from your partner. Now, the opposite is true as well. If the ball swings to this side of the court, I'm gonna wanna make sure that I'm cutting off, again, the easiest angle for my opponents to attack. I'm gonna wanna cover this line. And again, my partner's gonna be close enough to where they're able to touch my paddle. This is going to cut off so many angles from your opponents to attack your team, and your defense is honestly gonna skyrocket.
This next mistake could be costing you tons of points in pickleball. We've all been playing pickleball and gotten one of those juicy pop-ups, you know, one of those putaways that you dream about at night, and sometimes we dump it into the net or we hit it long. If you understand the concept I'm about to share with you, it will eliminate those errors. So what I'm talking about is called zero forward. If I were to hold the paddle out and keep it still, let's call anytime I pull the paddle back, negative space. Anytime I push the paddle forward, positive space. So this, when the paddle is still, is 0. This concept is called zero forward because when you get a pop-up, you want to find 0 and accelerate forward. You don't want to pull back into negative space because when you do that, you start to get too big of a backswing and you're going to make way too many errors. You don't need a big backswing. This court is much smaller than a tennis court. So when you get that pop-up, find 0 and accelerate forward. And I promise you, you'll win way more pickleball points.
This mistake is so common. I actually see it all the way from beginner to advanced, but once you understand this concept, you're well on your way to advancing your pickleball IQ. And it's not hitting every ball so aggressively. This is one of the mistakes people make a lot of times because I think people just are panicking and wanting to ensure that they win the point. So they'll try to hit an aggressive dink every single time or speed up on every single ball. And this often causes so many unforced errors by either hitting the ball out or in the net, or you're hitting off balance. And so this next tip is honestly to show a little restraint and know that sometimes it's important to hit defensive shots and offensive shots. But what I am gonna do is give you 3 cues to look for on balls that you should attack. Now, here are the 3 components you should look for when you decide to hit either an aggressive shot or an attack. The first component is a higher bounce or a higher floating ball, meaning that that ball is going to be hovering at or above net height, or that ball bounces at or above net height. That's the first component you should look for. The second one is that ball doesn't have a lot of action on it, meaning there's not a ton of spin. Okay, spin is going to manipulate and maneuver the ball, especially like last minute, and it can often get people off balance. So again, you want to look for what's called a dead dink, meaning there's not a lot of spin or action on it. The third component you want to look for is make sure that your body is in position. Okay, one of the worst times to attack a ball is if you're moving or shifting while hitting the dink. So you want to make sure that your feet are planted and that you have space between you and the ball so that you can actually aim where that ball is going. If you have these 3 components, that is a ball that you should hit aggressively and attack. Make sure you smash that like button and subscribe to the PlayPickleball.com YouTube channel.
No, seriously, actually subscribe, because the more subscribers that we get, the higher quality videos we can bring you. We'll see you on the next one.